Hello. Hi everyone. Good morning. So guys, as part of the today's session, I'm going to give you a brief overview on a variables. So you all know that within a variable you will be defining some value, and whenever you want you will be calling that particular values. Right. Or you will be calling that particular variables basically. Right. Generally, these variables are created for a repetitive use of a particular value that will be stored in a variable and that can be called. The main beauty with respect to this karate framework variable declaration part is you no need to declare the data type for this particular variable, whether it is an integer, whether it is a string, whether it is a boolean. You no need to specify the data type for that particular variable. Ideally, in karate, why are we using this particular variables means maybe in a response, I just want to compare with some string, or I want to get the outcome from this feature file. I want to use it in another feature file. In such a cases, right, we will be using this particular variables here. Okay, perfect. The syntax that we can use this particular variables are the jerkin keyword followed by the def. So there's a jerkin keyword would be anything like a given, when, then, and all those things that we are defining in your feature file, followed by a def. So def is the keyword that it is used to define a particular variable. So here, whatever the name that you are gonna give it for it is equal to the value that you are gonna assign for it. Either you can use a keyword or this keyword can be replaced with a star. So this is the syntax for this particular variable defining in Karate framework. So in the real world, right, moving further or with a bunch of examples, we have already seen a couple of examples. How are we defining a variable? But in the today's example, I just want to show you how to create a simple variable, okay, and how exactly we are utilizing those variables. Okay, validate a variable concept. Okay, scenario. Okay, in this scenario, verify a variable data type, just considering it as a reference. I'm using a given as the keyword, basically the jerkin keyword, followed by a def. So here I'm using a def, followed by a variable name. So here employee name is equal to the value. So the value that I am assigning here is Surendra. So if you observe, I am passing this information in a string, which itself means this employee name is a string. Right, guys? This employee name is a string. When def employee ID is equal to 456. So this is a number basically. In the employee ID, you are assigning a value of a 456, which is of an integer type. So to cross check whether the data is added into these particular variables or not, then print employee ID. Okay. Then print employee name. So ideally, a simple point that comes in our mind, Surendra, while writing down the Java programs, right, along with the system.print statement, I was just giving some message. Rather than using a direct print, can we also add some message to my print? Yes, of course. So let me copy these lines. Of course, let me comment it out these two lines. Put it back here. So after the print, put the desired message, whatever you wanna print. So here, this is employee ID value is comma separated, and it's gonna be employee ID. The same way here for this employee name also, employee name is comma separated that particular value, guys. That's it. So which means that either I can use a direct print of that particular variable, or I can give a string a comma separated that particular value. So when I run this particular program as a Cucumber feature, so if you execute this particular content, let us see what it is being printing down to that particular console. See here, employee ID value is a 456. Employee name is a Surendra. Perfectly all right. So this is the way how exactly we can define a variables within this particular scenario. Ideally, a simple question that comes in our mind. Surendra, I have defined this particular employee ID within this scenario. Can I reuse this variable in another scenario? So what I am doing right now is I'm creating the scenario with a name as a reuse of a variable basically. Just for my reference, a reuse of a variable. So here, whatever the print statement that I used in a previous scenario, I'm trying to print it here. So this employee name, I haven't defined it within this scenario. I'm trying to reuse that. So when I run my feature file, basically, this scenario, it will fail. The reason is this employee ID, whatever you are using here, this is not defined in the feature file or in this particular scenario. Perfect. Then immediately a question that comes in our mind. Surendra, I want to use a variable that will be common for all the scenarios that it is defined in a feature file. How can we deal with it? So the solution for this one is we can use a background. We are aware of the karate, okay, the jerkin keyword, which is a background. So in which given, okay, I can say def company name is equal to, okay, I'm considering it as Libby. Okay, I'm just giving it as a company name Libby.com. So this is the company name that I have defined in the background. So background is applicable for the feature, and within a feature file, how many scenarios are there? All those scenarios can reuse that particular content that it is defined in a feature in a scenario, which means that in this feature file, I have a two scenarios and one background. Before executing the content present in the scenario, the background will be executed. The similar way, before executing the second scenario, the content present in the background would be executed. Good enough. So what I'm doing right now means then print company name is, and what exactly the company name variable is there. I was just defined like this. I have just defined like this. Okay, so here I'm using company name, print a company name. So when I run my this stuff as a Cucumber feature, right? So it's executing, and whichever the background is there, it will be applicable. And see here, this value got a printed down, which is a company name value got a printed down to the console. Okay, so this is the way how exactly I can define a variable. So guys, if you observe in the current situation, I have a defined a string followed by an integer. Moving further, we will also define a arrays, and you will also define the values for that particular arrays also. Okay, that we will see in the further sessions. And even if you see this particular syntax, right, even you can use a jerkin keyword, or also you can use a star. So basically I can represent with this star. Ideally, placing a jerkin keyword would be a meaningful chunk. That's the reason I'm using this particular stuff. Okay, perfectly all right. So this is the way how exactly you can define a variables in karate. Okay, perfect guys. See you again in the next session with the next topic. Thank you. Bye bye.